I'm Heath Gadberry. I have been in Junction City for about 9 years now. Full disclosure, I spent the last 2 years in Europe where I retired out of the Army. Spent 22 years in the Army. I retired as a Command Sergeant Major of European Command Headquarters. My time that brought me here, I worked at IAC, so that's what brought me here, the Army. My kids went to high school here. My daughter goes to college still. And this is home. So we chose to live here. We came back, retired out of the Army and said, where do we want to live? We can live anywhere in the world. Where do we want to go? And we decided to come back here to Junction. Because it feels like home. So this is where we want to be. Well, the easy answer for now is because I have the time now. I'm retired, so I can do this. I believe in service, and so now I can still give back to Junction City, so I'm going to. Over the 9 years that we've been residents here, I have seen an increase in costs and I've seen a decrease in those services and that return on investment from the taxes that we're charged. Every year the taxes seem to go up and up and up, but every year we get less and less in return from that. So I want to do something about that. So I don't agree with that. I don't agree with some of the shady business practices that historically Junction City Commission has partaken in. I think there should be accountability for every dollar spent. This is public money. This literally comes from everyone in the town. I think the people that are charged with spending that money have a responsibility to those in the town to show why they're spending that money, what they're spending that money on, who that money is going to, and what alternatives they actually looked at before they committed to spending this money. From my perspective, and from all the folks that I've talked to, the infrastructure seems to be a top priority for everyone in Junction City. You can't make it down most of the roads without breaking your car. We also have the aforementioned fiscal indiscipline that seems to run rampant within the city. And then we also have inequity and growth opportunities. So far too often, I'll start with the infrastructure. The infrastructure can be fixed. It should be fixed. It should be prioritized. What my pledge is to start looking at the overall budget, look at short and long-term contracts, maximize those for efficiencies. If we don't need them, we cancel them. If whoever they're with doesn't want to go down that road, it needs to be public and everyone needs to understand. But far too often, we've given the same several private organizations, private companies, the money to engineer and design these projects and then to also do the construction on them. That doesn't work. So we need to have an actual city engineer that actually works for the city, that way we get the best bang for the buck for our own tax dollars. All the projects that are proposed, the city needs also to have at least 2 local bids. Instead of constantly just saying, hey, let's give it to an out-of-city, out-of-state place, construction firm, let's have local people see what they can do it for. As far as the shady business practices portion, the city has done this for a long time. I don't think this is a secret to anyone. A really recent example is the police department building. That building was not put open to bid in any sort of public process. That was done behind closed doors, and at least one sitting city commissioner that personally benefited. I have a problem with that. I don't think that serving in any public office should be personally financially beneficial. I think that we're here to serve, and that's the point of it. I think all public expenditures should follow the same processes. That bid process should be open, transparent to everyone. It should have an equal chance of everyone involved, everyone in the city, to make that bid happen if that's the case. That's an excellent example of we're stifling local businesses or small business growth. That could have been done at a local level and it wasn't. Any kind of construction project could have been done at a local level and most of the time it's not. The other way is the grant processes I want to change. Too often folks show up with their hand out and say, please give me some money. There's no established processes for why they're showing up, when they're showing up, what they had to go through. It comes down to the will of the commissioners at the time to say, sure, we'll give it to you or not. The right questions aren't being asked. We need to understand first, everyone needs to go through that same process up there. And then we need to understand if we're going to give money, say a couple $100,000 to either the Opera House or the golf course, what does that get for Junction City? How does that benefit everyone? Is that money really the best place to spend it? Or should we spend that money maybe, say, fixing some potholes on Grand Avenue? Imagine smooth roads and equal opportunities across the board, not just for the ruling elite. The way we can do that is not relying on money from Fort Riley. The city needs to understand that Fort Riley is changing in the future. In 5 years, it's most likely going to look very different than it does now. The federal spigot of tax dollars that just flow into local communities is off. That's not going to happen anymore. So we need to learn to fix our own problems at our own levels. The benefit to this is we don't have to wait forever. Instead of constantly looking to the government, the federal government, to fix our problems, for instance, the bridge at Washington, we can take that in at a local level and start getting things done. We also need to track metrics on the quarterly level of everything that we're spending money on, and is it actually benefiting? Are we getting what we designed or what the initial outlay was for? Is the return on investment worth it? I think the citizens and small businesses win overall in the next 5 to 10 years if we can get that fundamental change within the city government. People need to all play in the same level playing field. Big companies should not get special perks that small businesses and individual taxpayers do not receive in Junction City. First challenge is rising costs versus a flat return. Every year we're paying more and more in taxes and we're getting less in return from that. I think that's the biggest thing I hear from most folks when I'm out and about in public. This next year, the city has agreed to a revenue neutral rate of 0, which is nice. It sounds great, but that doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to spend less money. For example, they found $6 million this year in the budget. Let me say that again. They found $6 million in the budget. There is no such thing as a public surplus when it comes to money that was taken from you, the taxpayer. That means somebody wasn't doing something the right way. So now we have to have discussions on what to do with that money. In my view, it needs to be given back, or at a bare minimum, put back into the infrastructure to benefit everyone in Junction City equally. I think once we need to ensure that all the services that this country and that the folks that are currently paying for here are received, or should be receiving, that they are receiving. All right, so if we're paying extra for water, sewer, trash, we need to actually be receiving those services. Our water infrastructure, our communications infrastructure, it's antiquated and it is not working, and we need to put that money back into where it belongs. The other issue currently facing us is a lack of transparency. Very few times is anything being done that is open and transparent. Again, we can reference the police building. We can also reference numerous deals all the way back to at least 2008. These type of deals will not happen if I'm on the commission. I will ask hard questions. I will ask uncomfortable questions. I have no financial interest to any one business in town or in the state, and I will make sure that stays that way if I'm elected. Therefore, I can be impartial when awarding contracts or voting on contracts. Everyone needs to understand who the money is going to from the city. They need to understand what that money is being spent on. They need to understand why we're spending that money. They need to understand how much those projects are going to cost, not just today, but in 10 years in the future. That return on investment needs to be high enough to justify the expenses. Additionally, I'm not a fan of the commission receiving a paycheck, plain and simple. There's a proposal now that they will get paid cumulatively about $48,000 a year. I don't think this is right. How are you supposed to trust anybody with a $169 million budget as a commissioner if they cannot run their own life to where $800 a month isn't needed? I understand it's a lot of work, but that's what service means. We do this for the betterment of everybody in Junction City, not our own personal financial benefit. So one of the easiest ways to get out and talk to folks. So social media is great, but the majority of the people in this town, they don't all use it. And not to mention the algorithms are going to prevent you from getting that message out a lot. So you've got to have multiple pathways. Social media is only one of those. You need to have the traditional pathways of community organizations, churches, etc. And even if we need to do advertising, your job as a PIO is a great example. That is one of the key ways for everybody to understand what's going on. I'm pretty much an open book. I will publicize where I'm having dinner every Friday night, or maybe it's breakfast Saturday morning, something. That way people can show up and talk to me in a kind of an unofficial town hall. If you have something to say, I want your voice heard. You need to hear it. I don't want to limit anybody. Everyone's voice needs to be equal, and they should not be limited by a 5-minute rule that says you can only speak for this long in a meeting. The agendas need to publish far enough ahead so people can make up their minds, and that way if they have something to say, that they can come back and say it to everyone. I love the small town feel of Junction City. I've been around the world more times than I can count. I've lived all through Europe. I've lived in the Middle East. I've been everywhere. I've been to all 50 states and at least spent one night in each of them. I am not a big city person. It's great. Then you have the arts, the culture, but they also come with traffic, crime, pollution, etc. We don't have that here. The worst traffic we have is at 5 o'clock when everyone's trying to get out of the Dillon's parking lot. It's just not something. I don't care for those big things. I love the small time feel. Also, you have neighbors here, people actually that you talk to. When there's storms and things happen, neighbors help each other. It's not common in all places in the world anymore. Those are the things that we need to cultivate and create and keep going and give back to the future generations that we're raising now. These facts need to be capitalized on for economic development. There's ways to show that Junction City is the place that people want to live. You have Fort Riley there, where soldiers get out of the Army every day. They can come here, and the goal is to keep them here. I'm one of those that chose to stay here. I chose to come back to here for very good reasons. I'm not the only one that feels this way, but we need to make it where it's affordable for people to stay. In order to get people back here, they need to have a job. They need to have something to do. They need to have purpose and recreational activities. We've got Milford Lake, we've got an interstate, we've got access to airports. We are in a great economic place. It just needs to be capitalized on. I believe in growth that's natural growth. I do not believe in forced growth. And in order to avoid that, we need to make sure everybody plays by the same rules. Right? So if you're a big, large corporation coming in and you want to open business in Junction City, that's great, but you're going to play by the same rules that the mom and pop stores do downtown. There will be no tax cuts for large corporations while jacking the tax rates up for everybody else that lives here. That's wrong. I will always do the right thing. I promise I will not always make all of you happy, but I will always do the right thing. And that means that everybody will be on the same level playing field. There will be the same opportunities for everyone. Contracts will be looked at a local level. Spend city money inside the city. That further drives economic development. It's economics 101. It's not a really tough thing unless you're the person owning the business out of state or out of country. I'm not tied to any business here in Junction City. I refuse to be if I'm going to be in public office. I think the public office, the holders need to be held to a higher standard. You will not see me in having issues with the legal issues. I will not get pulled over for speeding tickets. If you can't trust those you elect in public office to follow the simple rules, how do you trust them to follow the big ones with large amounts of money? I believe I also bring a fresh viewpoint. Because I've only been here 9 years, I am not entrenched in any one way of doing things. One of the things I hated the most in the Army was this is the way we do it because we've always done it. That to me is one of the dumbest things that you could ever do. There are new and innovative ideas out there, and we need to listen to all of those. Whether they may come from an area that we don't necessarily like, it's irrelevant. We need to listen to all good ideas. And also today, let me close with this. Today, as we're filming this, it's my birthday. The thing I would like the most is for all of you to get out there and vote. It doesn't have to be for me, that's irrelevant. I would really want all of your voices to be heard. Please get out there on August 5th, vote in the primary, and then vote again in November. Nothing can speak change like you getting out and voting and using your voice. The future is yours, Junction City. Do not let anybody else tell you what your future will be. Thank you.